Hi creative friends, this is Saraya and thank you so much for being here. So today I'm going to continue working on this background while I talk about a few important points. So please excuse the fact that sometimes I may stop and I may talk with my hands a lot and do all of those things because it is kind of difficult sometimes when I want to make a point to work at the same time. So I'm just going to continue building up the face and, just working on the background using some of my Posca markers and seeing what I have to tweak. But I wanted to address a question that I received on my video yesterday. So basically, the question was, what is the point of painting the whole page if I'm just going to cover it up? And the person who left this comment said that, it made her sad that I had to cover it up, or I covered it up because, the page was like really juicy and etc. So I loved this question because there are so many layers to it. I really appreciate the question, and it's an opportunity for me to talk about a few super important points. So please keep in mind that this is just the way that I approach my art and painting, and you can take little bits and pieces of it, or you can leave the whole thing, or you can take the whole thing or tweak it to your advantage, however you tend to work. So the very first point I want to make is that detachment. It is super important. And I learned this from Buddhism, and it applies to just about every aspect of my life. Now, a lot of people initially might think that detachment is not caring, and that is absolutely not true. Detachment is quite the opposite. It leads to more freedom because now you're not constricted by the opinions, the judgments, and the expectations of other people or even yourself. And it's got nothing to do with not caring. It's actually caring so much about your work, your art, your painting, that you are not going to let all of these external factors or even the beliefs that you might hold, the expectations you might place on yourself to affect your art. So I hope that I am being clear in conveying this point. Now, what I tend to do is adopt the mindset that when someone praises my work, okay. When someone critiques my work, okay. Because when we stay detached from other people's opinions, we can create work that reflects our own visual language, our soul print, if you will. Excuse me. And it will be unique to us and no one else, because only you can create your work, because it's going to be a reflection of your truth, and it's going to be unaffected from seeking praise, or you're not going to fear criticism from other people or even ourselves, because our inner critic can be really harsh. So the second point I want to make is that we also have to detach from what we ourselves think we should do versus what the painting actually wants to become. Now, this might sound really esoteric and like, what on earth am I even talking about? So let me just explain that when we listen to our intuition, and when we develop a strong relationship to our visual language, when we pay attention to what we love, the colors we love, the lines we love, the all the elements, the compositions we gravitate towards, when we pay attention to all of those things, we are developing a relationship and a knowing of our visual language. So in that, when we detach from our expectations, we can allow the painting that wants to come through to actually manifest itself on the page. And this takes practice. It doesn't happen overnight. Now, the second point I want to make is that a long time ago when I took an art class, an art teacher told us this, and I didn't understand it at the time, but the more I started working and applying this, the more I realized that, yeah, it is absolutely true. And what this art teacher said is that everything must be done in the service of the final piece. And that also includes covering up parts that we may love, but it also includes other things. It also includes, say, other people's expectations of us, our own expectations of ourselves. It also includes things like our knowledge, and I'll give you an example of this. So just say that you have studied color theory, and you have learned that color A and color B do not go together. They just don't go together. That's what everybody says. That's what all the books say. That's what you've learned. That's what you have internalized. But just say you're painting and you want to mix color A and color B. Well, you might have to sacrifice what you have learned for your art. So you might have to sacrifice that knowledge that color A and color B don't go together. And you might say, hey, okay, that's what I learned, but you know what? I'm gonna put color A and color B together. So I hope that I am explaining this in a way that's easy to understand. Another point I wanna make is sometimes the page, okay, so let me answer this part of the question. Why paint the page and then cover it up? Because sometimes the only way that a piece can come through is through a specific sequence of events. So what I mean by that is, just say this is a blank white page. Well, I may not go down and make these particular marks. I may not lay this piece of collage down here. I may not put all of these marks and colors and values, etc. over here. I may not do that. It will be a completely different spread, because when you are painting, everything is in relation to another piece of the page. Nothing exists in a vacuum. So if this was a complete white page, I can't, I'm not going to come here and make these marks and put these colors down and say, oh, I'm going to stick this collage over here. This might have been in response to something that's covered up. This collage might be in response to something over here. These lines might be in response to something that's going on over here. So everything is in relation to another. And I'm sorry, I'm not working very much on my page because I'm so busy trying to get my points across. But this is an important conversation to have. Now, I just want to tell you about an experience I had when I was in Oaxaca. I did a retreat with brilliant artist Connie Solera, and if you ever get a chance to take any of her classes, I would just go for it. She is so amazing, and I absolutely love the way she teaches and her art, etc. So what happened is, I think it was our last day of the retreat, we had a free day, and we were going to have an art show that evening where we all got to display our art and talk about it, etc. And it was a small group. There were about 10 of us. So that morning I went to my art station, and I'm just gonna see if I can pull out these cards over here to explain what I mean. So we had these huge pads of drawing paper or painting paper, whatever. I think it was Bristol paper, but they were huge. It was I think it was 24 by 30. That was the size of it. So they're really large. And what I did instinctively, I didn't even think about it. I ripped out 2 pages from my pad, and I pinned one page like so, and another page like so. And I didn't even think about what I was doing, because the retreat in Oaxaca was so magical, and it incorporated so many um, concepts, elements. I don't even know how to explain it, honestly, but it was a merging of so many different aspects of painting and life that I can't even, I'm still unraveling it. And this all happened like 8 years ago, but it was a really intense experience for me. And so I put my two pieces, sheets of paper, like so. I pinned them up on my, my, whatever, you know, the piece of wood that, like we would paint on. And I put one piece there and one piece there. And like I said, I wasn't thinking about it. And I immediately go on to it and I start painting breasts. And I'm painting and I'm painting and I'm painting the breasts. And then I make a neck, and the neck goes up into here. And then I start, and you know what, honestly, I think I might have laid it out like so. I can't remember now. But anyways, my point still remains. There were two separate pieces of paper. So I start painting, I start doing the neck and the face and the hair and whatever. And I painted a portrait of a woman that was 100% me, but it was different than everything that I had previously painted up to that point. And whatever I painted on the bottom, which were breasts, that was not important. I unstuck this off the easel, and this was what I was after, was the portrait of the woman. This was the piece that was life-changing, art-changing, mind-changing, heart-changing, etc. for me. This was the important piece, but it was this piece that allowed me to get to this piece. And I didn't put the pieces of the puzzle together until I got home and I was journaling about it, etc. And I had to kind of understand, what had happened. So I hope that I am explaining how, for me anyways, the way I approach my painting is that, nothing exists in a vacuum. And even though I'm covering up all of, I'm going to cover this up too now. It's not really vibing with the piece. But even though I am covering it up, it is still there because it was these covered up aspects of the piece that allowed me to get into all of this juicy stuff over here. So I hope I'm explaining myself in a way that is digestible. And I also want to say that I am hardly ever going to take offense at any kind of a comment or a question. So I really appreciate your feedback and your engagement. And if somebody, doesn't like my art or doesn't like my process, I absolutely do not take that personally at all. Now, there was a time when I used to, believe me, and I used to get really bothered and upset and hurt, just so hurt, because not strangers, but particularly people in my life, if they did not understand my art or appreciate my art or whatever, I would get so upset and so hurt because I was like, oh my God, this is my art and this is my soul and this is my, it was really kind of crazy. But thankfully, I am not in that place anymore. And this was many, many years ago. I'm not in that place anymore. And it has made my art stronger, and it has made my art more authentic to who I am. So I hope that I have answered the questions, and I hope I've conveyed my points. Also, I just wanted to point out that last week I received another juicy question, and it was in regards to, I made a video about, how we depart, when we depart from reality and we go more into abstract, and I received a really juicy question. So I am still thinking about how to best answer that question. I've been journaling about it, and I hope that some of what I've shared today will also answer that question about delving more into abstract art, because I think some of the points that I made apply to that question as well. Detachment is key. It really honestly is. It's so important to learn detachment, like I said, not only from other people's opinions and expectations and judgments, but our own. And also, to be discerning, to just be discerning about like why are we paying attention to those expectations in the first place. So I hope that I have answered the questions and concerns. And if you have any more, please leave them in the comment section. So getting back to this over here, I'm really loving so much of what is going on. I had to cover up those pieces, but I think I'm going to leave these. And, honestly, I think I'm even going to leave this just to be a blank face for right now, because I just love all the focus being more on the expression on this blue face person right here. So, anyways, this was actually part two of the negative and positive space. But I hope that the points that I made will give you guys food for thought. Anyways, as always, I appreciate you watching all the way to the end, and thank you so much. Bye-bye.